As the great biologist Edward O. Wilson once wrote, "The earth is our home. Unless we preserve the rest of our life as a sacred duty, we'll be endangering ourselves, we'll be destroying the home in which we evolved, on which we completely depend." Our world is heating up faster than ever. We're seeing it in the extreme weather, the rising seas, and the species fighting to survive. Earth has gone through climate shifts before, but this time, we're the ones pushing it too far, past the 2 degrees Celsius threshold scientists have warned us about for years, and yet some still treat climate change like it's a debate. So what's next? Are we just going to leave this mess for the next generation, for the leaders of tomorrow who have to clean up our mistakes? Or are we going to prepare them? Because here's the thing, climate education isn't just important, it's essential. It's how we build resilience. It's how we give young people the tools to adapt to a world that's already changing, whether we're ready or not. My own love for the environment started at home. My mom planted those seeds, literally and figuratively. Winter meant bird watching, spring brought hatching chicks, summer, monarch butterflies, milkweed gardens, and frog hunts in the lily pad pond at Rhinestone Woods. But these weren't just random experiences. These were lessons about connection and about responsibility. Yet not every student gets that chance. Not every student has the opportunity to fall in love with nature the way I did. That's why my research focuses on breaking down the barriers to climate education. Because if we want future generations to thrive, we have to equip their teachers and their schools with the resources they need. Schools shape who we are. They shape our values, our knowledge, our actions. Imagine if every student graduated with a deep understanding of climate change. Imagine if they didn't just learn about it in a textbook, but experienced it, felt it, understood their role in it. Right now, 81% of New Yorkers want climate change in schools. But most students only get an hour a year, if that, spread across a curriculum that's already packed. That's not enough. That's not even close. So let's talk about the real barriers. Let's find the solutions, because the future isn't waiting for us. Confidence. One big challenge in teaching climate education. It often comes down to the teacher's own background and expertise. Research shows that educators feel way more confident and effective when they're teaching something that aligns with what they already know. This idea is called epistemic proximity, a fancy term for how comfortable teachers feel with a topic that's based on their training or personal connection to it. For example, a science teacher might breeze through climate science lessons, while an elementary school teacher who covers everything from math to reading could feel less prepared. Barrier number 2, preparedness. Preparedness isn't just about having a plan. It's about being ready to face what's coming, ready to adapt, ready to act. For teachers, that means one thing. They need to be equipped to teach climate change, equipped to empower their students with the knowledge and skills to navigate a world that's changing faster than ever. Climate literacy isn't just about understanding science, it's about seeing the bigger picture, how climate shapes society, economics, and politics, and how it hits marginalized communities the hardest. But here's the problem. Many elementary teachers don't get the support they need. No clear guidance on which books to pick, no roadmap for weaving climate and sustainability into their lessons. And without that, how can we expect the next generation to be ready? Number 3, the lack of institutional support. Here's the reality. Even the most passionate teachers can't do it alone. They need institutional support, the kind that comes from strong leadership, engaged parents, and a community that values climate action. Teachers have the knowledge to teach climate topics, but they're held back by a lack of support. Administrators might not give them the time, the resources, or the training they need. And let's be honest, standardized testing doesn't help. It pushes teachers to focus on what's tested, not what's urgent. Climate education, often seen as too political, too controversial. So teachers stay quiet. But here's the thing. Teachers aren't just educators. They're agents of change. They shape not just what students know, but how they feel about the future, They help kids cope with the stress of a changing world, and that's powerful. So what's the solution? It's time to close the gap. Number 1, professional development. Professional development isn't just about sitting through a one-time seminar. It's about deep, immersive training that builds real skills and competence. It's about bridging the gap between scientists and educators, making complex topics digestible. And it's about moving beyond the basics into interdisciplinary teaching. So climate education isn't siloed in science classes. But even with training, teachers need tools. Number 2, resources. Resources that make their job easier, their lessons more engaging. That's where platforms like the New York State Climate Education Hub come in. It's a free, teacher-designed treasure trove of lesson plans, resources, and professional development opportunities. Need a ready-to-use module? It's there. Want to filter by grade, subject, or standard? Done. Supported by the National Wildlife Federation and Subject to Climate, this hub, and others like it across the state, help educators navigate scientific jargon, find age-appropriate strategies, and connect climate concepts to students' everyday lives. A type of resource, storytelling. What if the key to building climate literacy starts with a story? Children's books aren't just tools for entertainment. They're powerful bridges to understand complex ideas. In Beyond the Lorax, examining children's books on climate change, the article shows how literature helps young readers connect scientific facts to real-world concepts. These stories shape how children see their role in the world, their choices, and their resilience in the face of climate change. But it's not just about facts. Tools for climate literacy must inspire hope, creative thinking, and a sense of ownership over these critical concepts. Kelly Swain, author of Children's Picture Books in an Age of Climate Anxiety, highlights an important balance. While some books depict the devastating impacts of human activity, they also empower kids by showing how they can be part of the solution. Storytelling becomes a way to include humans, not just as a bystander, but as an active participant in a healing planet. For teachers who may feel uncertain about their scientific background, stories act as a bridge. Peter Frederici, in Beyond Climate Breakdown, Envisioning New Stories of Radical Hope, explains how narratives help us make sense of the world and our place in it. This is where climate education becomes accessible, relatable, and even empowering. The good news? There's a wealth of children's books that tackle environmental and climate topics in diverse, engaging ways. Next, age-appropriate approaches. The key, meeting students where they are, not just metaphorically, literally. That's where place-based education comes in. It's about connecting lessons to the world right outside the classroom, the local park, the neighborhood garden, the river down the street. When learning feels relevant, students engage more, they perform better, they even show up more often. But it's not just about academics, it's about empowerment, not fear. An approach, the Sobel framework. Young kids shouldn't be burdened with the weight of global catastrophes. Instead, we start with love. Love for nature, love for community, helping them see themselves as part of the solution. Think of it like this. Age 4 through 7, focus on empathy. Let them explore, play, and build a connection with nature. Think bugs, local parks, and stories about people making a difference. Age 8 through 11, time for exploration. Dive deeper into local environmental issues. Let them ask questions, investigate, and see the impact of their actions. Ages 12 and up, shift to social responsibility. Now they're ready to tackle bigger questions like climate justice and systemic change. Experts like David Sobel, who warns that throwing global tragedies at young kids too soon can create ecophobia, a fear of nature itself, and that it shuts down learning, it shuts down action. But what about older students who are seeing the effects of climate change firsthand? Like Beth Mowry's kids in Red Hook, Brooklyn. After Hurricane Sandy devastated their community, she didn't shy away from topics, she leaned into it. Her students studied the science of hurricanes, analyzed data, and created infographics to share with their neighbors. They turned fear into knowledge and knowledge into action. Next, institutional support. One teacher can't change a system alone. For climate education to stick, schools need to make it part of their DNA. That means more than just adding a lesson here or there. It means building a culture of sustainability. How? Start with the campus itself. Turn it into a living lab. A school garden where students learn about ecosystems, a composting program that teaches responsibility, recycling initiatives that make sustainability tangible. Every renewable energy project like solar panels that turn the school into a real-world example. But it's not just about the physical space, it's about collaboration. Give teachers from different subjects a chance to work together. A science teacher and an art teacher teaming up to explore climate through data and creativity. A history teacher connecting past environmental policies to today's challenges. When educators share ideas and co-teach, no one feels like they're out of their depth. And here's the game changer: legislative support. Because real change doesn't happen in a single classroom, it happens when laws demand it. So here in New York, in March 2026, the state made history by approving mandatory climate education for every student from kindergarten through 12th grade. This wasn't just handed down from on high. Students had a voice. They advocated, lobbied, and made sure their leaders listened. Organizations like the National Wildlife Federation and the Climate and Resilience Education Task Force, with their Youth Steering Committee, have been pushing for years to make this happen. But here's the catch. Laws don't teach kids, teachers do. And for this to work, educators need the time, the guidance, and the resources. New York isn't alone. New Jersey paved the way before them, and now other states have a roadmap, a reason to follow. Educators are already making a difference, but they need better tools and support to succeed. That's why recent progress, like New York's decision to require climate education for graduation, is so exciting. Now we have the structure to turn awareness into real action. Okay, let's review. The barriers: lack of competence, preparedness, and the lack of institutional support. Solutions: professional development, resources, age-appropriate approaches, and institutional support. Now I'm going to turn it over to present-day me. Thanks for listening.